one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best? 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 What's the second best?
This is Discover Crypto. Every day on this channel, we teach you how to make money with digital assets. And yes, we're coming from a new location on YouTube and physically. And we got not TJ with me today. I'm telling you the truth is the truth. Truth, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. We called out too many realities of these lackluster Apple call outs, the rollouts. They wanted to control the narrative yesterday. So we got a little bit of a spanking, but you know what? It's what happens when you say things as it is. So here we are. We're streaming from this just for a bit. I'm excited to see what you're looking at here today, Deezy. Did you see the Cardano Charles Hoskinson conversation going
on CoinDesk? I believe it's CoinDesk, if I'm not mistaken. He's saying a lot of the same things and admitting some faults. He dropped the ball on X, Y, and Z, and this is why we haven't seen Cardano flourish into the top 5, only a top 10. And it was number 3 last cycle. So, only being in the top 10 to him is definitely not the greatest thing. And we do have some stuff on Cardano. I'm going to show some Cardano dominance charts that nobody's talking about with some potential huge upside. But also, we're going to talk about Bitcoin, MYX. We're going to talk about that token. And it's going to be a regular show, a little bit of basement, a little bit of the regular Discover Crypto, the disco fan vibes. So we're going to have the bell bottoms on, but maybe there's going to be a flak jacket underneath the silk button with the large collars, But Drew, let's look at the charts here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and let me see. Am I added? All right, we're good to go. This is Bitcoin on the 5-minute chart. You can see we are on a nice little bounce here. Looks like we have moved pretty significantly just in the last couple hours. Bitcoin's up about $2,000, was up $2,000 in 2 hours exactly. And now just trying to find a new level, a new range. If we zoom out a little bit, you can see we have broken some of these local highs, and we are going to levels not seen all the way since August. So now we're going into the price action of last month. Remember what we were saying about September 1st could be the bottom, and it's going to be up and to the right from here. When we zoom out even further, I'll tell you about these ranges right here. We're going to talk about the length of this bull run. Is it going to factor in? And when we're looking at the 4 hour, it looks like maybe reversing a downtrend, potentially forming a nice V shape or a cup shape recovery. Drew, are you in any trades at the moment, Drew?
I had a lot of really great trades I dropped in Discord. Made like 40% on the entire trading bag last night. So I was happy to just close those. Sleep
Trade them with the
soundly.
whole bag, huh? You're no risk protection here.
I had 2 different trades, so it's kind of split. But both of them
just
went
trade with
off.
half the bag, but 2 trades.
Well, yeah. I mean, I just felt very, very strongly about the levels that you just showed there, Deezy. And I've had conviction of at least a short-term bounce from 107 and some change for quite some time, and it's playing out. Those charts are looking pretty good here.
Yeah, I want to show. It looks like we are now potentially going to be moving above this yellow or orange line. This is the 50-day moving average. So you can see we knocked against the door, knocked against the door, knocked against the door. Sometimes you got to knock 3 times before you kick that door down, kick it off its hinges. And we might be kicking it off the hinges right now. You can see last couple times we bounced off of this. It has led to some pretty significant pumps there. We got stuck below it. We knocked a few more times than 3 times here, but then that's what created the last rally that we're kind of in all the way until the middle of August, and we started our downtrend. Now, we did put out a chain link video a night and a half, 2 nights ago. Did open a trade. Talked about the trade yesterday morning. We had an entry at 23.05. That one triggered, and we also had an entry at 22.90, maybe 92. Those 2 combined, we got our new entry right around here, about 22.99. Did not trigger the other 2 levels. I had a open at 22.7, did not trigger, and at 22.50. But we're in the trade right now. We'll continue to monitor this, and a small bag. We didn't get the full amount in, low leverage, but we're taking the wins as they come. Drew, we're just going to have nice little wins here. Looking in at Chainlink on the TA. You can also see Chainlink, when we go to the daily, showing some nice support, showing some nice bounces here, and potentially this is the next leg of the rally. hopefully, if you watch that other video, you'll know what this means. We might be touching the top of the megaphone rally there, Drew. Drew, you are a Link Marine still.
Yeah.
I know we got some Link Marines in the chat. I know the basement is filled with Link Marines. They're in there. They got their little squares. They're stepping. They're climbing underneath the
We're
net. They're
eating
stepping on the
crowns,
tires.
everything. I mean, we're doing
Yeah,
all the things, you know,
yeah.
crowns are included. Chain Link's making me feel good is actually one of the ones I was trading yesterday, DZ. So shout out to you for holding on to that trade. Holy cow, man. What a move. On low leverage too, you're doing a nice approach. Chainlink is one of the, it's kind of turning into one of the longer term holds for me. And you know, I'm still going to be taking a good amount of profits, but I definitely at the very minimum am planning to keep a pretty decently sized moon bag of Chainlink over, you know, after this price action goes away and the lights turn off and we have to go back into accumulation mode. I'll probably be a bag holder of a little bit of Chainlink. I think it's got a pretty bright future for it.
Speaking of mooning, no, we didn't moon the camera yesterday or anything like that. The Apple stream copyright struck several channels, a lot of channels, hundreds of channels. We were caught up in the crosshairs from Apple. So Tim Cook, come on, man, go ahead and remove that strike. We're in jail for maybe a day, maybe a week. We're kind of going through the process right now, but I do appreciate you folks finding us in the basement. Now let's go ahead and check in on the crypto prices. You see Bitcoin is now up 2%, ETH is up 3%, Solana now almost up 4%, and Cardano up 2.5% here. Everything is looking good. Everything is green except for the stable coins. And we're looking for the big winners. We're going to see Hash Pump and AVAX. And I got some AVAX TA. We knocked on the $27 door several times, burst through. And Ondo's up in MYX Finance. We're going to do a little bit of a deep dive in MYX. Is there something shady and suspicious going on? And we see a nice pump with SWE and Say as well. Looking at what's dumping, we see Story is down. I you know, always feel good when we fade a coin and then that coin turns red. We feel terrible if we fade a coin, then that coin keeps pumping for another day or two. So, you know, we warned you about the IP narrative. You know, you might be jumping in a little bit late. Sky is down, Meme Core is down, Tia is down, and World Liberty Fi just cannot turn around. Now trading around 20 cents there. That's what we're seeing in the altcoin market. Drew, we have a nice $20 super chat here. Would like the news, Trevor. What kind of news would trigger World Liberty Fi to go higher? I moved 10K here thinking it would go up quick, but didn't. I'm thinking to move it back into Links, Solana, AVAX. Leave it there until the end of the bull run. Thanks, Claudia. What is going to be the catalyst to push World Liberty Fi? I think the catalyst is going to have to be a large, let's just say an advisor role, some sort of partnership role, a whale, essentially. They got to sign on some whale. It could be an exchange. It could be another Justin Sun-like figure. And then once they announce some serious buying pressure, I think that's when we end up seeing some nice price appreciation. With these 12-month vesting schedules, these big whales are going to get tokens every single month. And so we have to basically fight that 1/12 of their allocation with the buy pressure. What that's going to look like, I mean, we might just need more alts to move. We might need ETH to pump. We might need Solana to pump.
Yeah. I think the chart's in control. I mean, it's something that you hope Trump's going to come out and potentially maybe directly shill, but I kind of doubt it. It's a slow burn play, I feel like. So you're not, you know, it's not going to move like a meme coin. I don't feel like it's got to be built out in the long term. And, you know, I did like seeing the move with Truth and Crow token.
Yeah, we're going to cover that. Yep.
You know, and some of those top
Trump
gainers,
and Crow teaming up together, folks. I didn't even mention that at the top of the show. Yeah, we're going to talk about Trump working with Crypto.com. And is Matt Damon involved? And are they going to say, oh my God, that is Jason Bourne, Drew? I think so. I think so. If it's not him, it's at least going to be fatigued Ben Affleck with the cigarette.
Yeah.
So
well, and some of the biggest gainers on what you showed are SocialFi platforms, right? I mean, Avalanche has the arena, Pump obviously trying its own SocialFi, Truth integrating with Crow and taking its own approach to SocialFi. I find it very fascinating seeing these little test beds.
Do we need 20 SocialFis?
No.
I signed up. I got verified on Coin Market. Yeah. No, I'm sorry. Is it? Yeah, Coin Market Cap, maybe social feed. Like just Coin Market Cap. Do they really need a social feed? Am I on
Not
it?
so
Yes.
much.
Am I verified? Yeah. I mean, but
Not
at a certain point, it's like, all right, I'm on X. What else do you want?
Yeah. And, you know, it's not that most of these are going to win. I think most of them are going to die, but I think that there's a potential for a few of them to rise. And all I got to do is catch a toenail of social media to really have some good upside, at least. Maybe not worldwide adoption, but I like these test beds.
It's just not going to happen, man. It's just it ain't going to happen. Metcalfe's law is too difficult, folks. All right, let's talk about these Bitcoin liquidations here. Bitcoin approaching 114K as the liquidation map is warning of a major short squeeze. That is our title story today. There's now a heavy concentration of short positions just above the current price. Well, we just had a pump. And so some of this is played out. So we need to see what is the next level. What is that next bright spot of liquidations where the whales are going to be targeted by these market makers and these exchanges? The largest cluster, 112,630. Well, guess what, folks? We have smoked through that. We're now at 114. So now let's go to the next level. We're actually going to look at Hyper Liquid here. Now I have to scroll this down. We're on a different size window here. Maybe I could shrink it. There we go. On Hyper Liquid, we are a lot closer than we are normally seeing on Hyper Liquid. You know, in Hyper Liquid, sometimes it's 30% away. It's so far away. It's really not even anything worth considering. But now, as you're looking for Hyper Liquid specifically, we are very, very close. And starting the short squeeze, looks like we have a nice cluster route at 115,500. That should push us up to about 117. Fairly little resistance, maybe one small speed bump. We hope it's not a child. We just keep on moving. We're not checking that rear view mirror. That's all I know. And we go out to, say, the 7-day. I shouldn't say that, Drew. You're a father, but I'm kidding. When we go to the 7-day, you can see it looks even more juicy. There's a potential, no guarantee, the short squeeze. If people get too greedy, so as we start hitting these levels, people are like, well, I'm a short right above it. I'm a short right above it. We got fuel to 117,600.
Yeah. And it's so, I think, very intriguing about the Hyperliquid distance, Deezy, because every time me and you look at these things first thing in the morning, that Hyperliquid room for, error that the whales on Hyperliquid leave often is very, very wide. And to see it getting close to that, man, it kind of looks like we're ready for it.
So I sent in my hair. I cut my hair. I sent it in a Ziploc bag for the verification. They said, no, we wanted the short and curlies.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I didn't know you wanted those, man. I didn't know that's what they wanted.
YouTube probably just hates bald people. Maybe it just is what it is. But
it's an Amazon thing. It's like Jeff Bezos, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
and the real Elon. Let's not forget, Elon's bald. All right, he just paid money to, transplant some. I don't know where the hair came from. We hope it's off the back of his neck. We don't know. All right, let's get back to Bitcoin here. It's unlikely Bitcoin has already peaked in this bull market. Why? Because this would mean that this cycle was one of the shortest of all time. If anything, cycles are getting longer. The cycles are not getting shorter. We don't trust here, Drew. We verify. So let's jump into the charts. I want to show you this current cycle. You come in from the bottom, that 115,500. I think we got the very correct candle. We're about 994 days when we hit that peak. Mm-hmm. Where we're at today, we're about 1020. But the peak right there, that local high. So we're looking at a under 1,000-day cycle. Well, if we go from, let's look at 2021, make sure on the log chart here, make sure we have that low. So like boom, right there. So 990 days, but the previous cycle, 1060. It would be shorter than that one. And, they're saying the shortest in history. That's with a little bit of Fugazi math, in my opinion, that's going out to there. If you really, really, really stretch that y-axis, Drew, you can see this was the low. It was not over there. That takes it up to 1060 as well, though. So a lot of people will use that day just so their thesis sounds better, or their chart looks a little bit better. But here we have 852 days. And then if we go here, 740. So 740, we'll just say 750 to 850 to 1050. That's suggesting a lot of gas. I mean, that's suggesting, Drew, we might see, we could jump to 1250, but let's just jump to 1150 days. Mm-hmm. Jump into a 1100.
And this is a more mature market, too. It makes sense from a market cap standpoint. The larger market caps, they take longer to grow and they're more sticky.
Yeah, and now we're talking about a January 2026 cycle top. We've been saying, if you look at the M2 money supply, we got some updated figures there. Q1 26, very much so, looks like it could be the potential top here.
Okay. I was getting a little bit iffy. It's like maybe it's just 4-year standard, but I mean, I've left the target for Q1 of 26 this is actually really good confluence to that. So, I mean, I really appreciate you bringing this up because that's the whole thing. This time is different, and each time it's slightly different. It's slightly longer, slightly more real that Bitcoin's here to stay.
All right. And for people just jumping in, we got Negan. He already has the baseball at with the barbed wire, so we better answer his questions. We streamed the Apple event. For those who just now joining in, just now seeing the stream, we streamed the Apple event. Apple trying to throw us in YouTube jail, but we're posting bond, and we're going to be breaking out pretty soon. Okay,
Absolutely.
we have Barbara Freed lobbying the activist judge to let us out of that jail.
Well, hopefully she has the accreditations to actually be a judge, right? I mean, that's what we can.
Hopefully it ain't a Baltimore one. Am I right? Am I right? We're going to move on here. Now, let's talk about some of these charts. Drew, what's so funny? Bitcoin lagging against global M2. He's hiding his face. Also lagging against gold. How obvious can it be? So this is the M2 chart. You can see, still trying to get that new all-time high. But even if this is the top right there, that still suggests that we're going to top out sometime October rather than, the top is already in. Still got room to roll. And if we look at the Bitcoin gold chart, remember, we just put out a video on this about 5 days ago. You see, all right, gold breaking out. We still have a little bit of room to roll there. But Colin did an excellent breakdown here. Gold M2 versus another one here, inverse DXY. So the inverse DXY is just going to be the strength of the dollar reverse. So instead of that... then that value of the dollar just going lower, lower, lower. We're going to make it go up here. So gold has broken out of new all-time highs. Generally, Bitcoin follows gold with a lag. Inverse DXY, the inverse chart of the strength of the dollar and M2 have not yet broken out to new all-time highs. But it looks like they could in the near future, perhaps following the move that gold made recently. So maybe gold is going to push the strength of the dollar down and then also going to pull up that M2 chart. Now, for nearly a month, Bitcoin has experienced a divergence from the triple confluence of these three lines. Will we see the resumed quadruple confluence along all four? He's thinking it is very likely. His personal opinion, Bitcoin has not yet put in a cycle top. We'll probably see it later this year. We're also saying, maybe Q1 26, but he'll use this chart as well as many other metrics to make his decision. Ultimately, nothing screamed overheated, so he does not think the top is in. And I agree with this, Drew. Once we look at the chart, it looks like there's a lot of fuel here, folks. A lot of fuel. Are you agreeing as well?
Yeah, I mean, I feel that way, and I definitely am also using the pairing charts of ETH to Bitcoin, like ETH dominance. I've basically made a internal decision to sell all my alts back into Bitcoin if we get anywhere near 20% ETH dominance as well. But these factors are important to pay attention to, and also reminding myself out loud that I have goals, financial goals with my crypto, and screenshots, though great to have when the portfolio goes parabolic, they don't change your life. That's what I've actively been doing with crypto for a long time. So I'm going to be selling those altcoins when those pairing charts really start putting in strong weekly moves against Bitcoin, wherever Bitcoin is.
And I got an ADA dominance chart that nobody talks about that might kind of play into that as well. And you can see here, we still have an 82-day gap. So we have 82 days before we can maybe, potentially see the top. Looking at a lot of these charts here, Bitcoin, no offset. Is that the one that died, Drew?
Which one? The offset?
Offset. Was that the one that died? Is it too soon?
So,
should I just move on?
So. And it's never too soon for such a conversation.
All right. We have Vivek Ramaswamy. I would say high likelihood. In fact, I almost want to go to Polymarket to check this out. High likelihood to be Ohio's next governor. I don't know if Ohio's real. A lot of people say it is. But Ohio's next governor potentially looking into a Bitcoin treasury. To me, this spells a lot of hopium for Bitcoin being added to those Ohio state coffers. I can see some sort of, executive action from the governor's mansion where we will see Bitcoin being adopted on the state level. And then we could create the rat race between the 49 other states as they all try to outcompete each other. We're probably going to have maybe a potential Florida or a Texas kind of leading the way. But I can see Vivek Ramaswamy's Strive merger clearing the path for massive amounts. Now, this is assuming he wins the Ohio governorship. Even if he doesn't, that just means he has more free time for this Bitcoin treasury company. We're seeing more and more Bitcoin accumulation. Now we have a new meme chart. So we got thrown out of the YouTube pavilion here by Apple. And then Apple, maybe this is why, Drew. There's another meme, I'll say another graphic here, where they price iPhones in Bitcoin. And now, for the first time ever, one iPhone coming in at 1% of a Bitcoin. So it started, we're just a casual 100x to get to one. So a 267x once you price that original, what was it, iPhone 6. And this is only going to 2015. This isn't even doing the moon math like iPhone 4, iPhone 2.
Yeah. And when you start pricing things in Bitcoin, literally everything on planet Earth is going to zero against Bitcoin. So I've changed my thought process. It's each week, it's not about how much money I'm going to make, it's about how much of a percent of a Bitcoin can I make? Can I earn this week? Right. And so I just focus on that, constantly stack. It's fine if it's 1% or 2%. And this is long-term wealth. I really, the altcoins, we're in the season where, me and you can be bullish as all get out on the altcoins and their performances right now. But really, when the music stops, we've seen it stop time and time again. It's all going to be back into Bitcoin. I am not, everything but a small bag of Link and Bitcoin is going to be my portfolio going into 2026. The stagflation stuff, it worries me, Deezy. I've been ranting about it for a while. People are, pundits, economic majors, PhDs are now saying the same thing. So I don't sound so crazy anymore. And I think that there will be a little bit of a calm period. I think that and calm is maybe not the right word. It might be hoping and praying for 5-6% mortgages.
You said the music stops. Maybe it's just turning down the volume a little
right.
bit. I think Rihanna said it best, Drew, when she said, "Please don't stop the music." All right, let's do a little clip here. We're only going to play about 20, 30 seconds here. We're going to jump in about halfway. This is BlackRock's chief investment officer. So the CIO, maybe he's CIA, just said live that everyone has to add Bitcoin to their portfolio, but there's a little bit of he had to dampen the hopium. He had to smother it with a pillow. You'll see what I'm saying in a second.
Hard assets have to enter the equation today. Gold, Bitcoin, things that give you a little bit of ballast in the portfolio against potential for currency depreciation.
When you talk about Bitcoin should be part of the portfolio, what kind of percentage are you thinking about? Is it a 5%, which generally seems to be what people are talking about, more or less?
It seems high to me. So I run our global allocation fund. We're running long equities. We're heavy income. We're running, in the 3 to 5% region on gold. Gold strikes me today as a better currency hedge. Bitcoin tends to trade with vol, tends to trade with the NASDAQ. So we're running considerably lower than that in crypto. I just think it's going to go up, and I think it's a good expression. But 5.
All right, he's about to say the bad part. Here we go.
I think it's a good expression, but 5 seems high to me. But it depends where you are in your life and how much risk you want to take.
He said 5% seems high in his opinion, Drew. To me, that kind of deflates the balloon slightly. What are you saying? This is bullish or bearish? The 5% allocation.
I mean, I want the fund managers like BlackRock to fade Bitcoin for as long as humanly possible. Now, this started with BlackRock was attacking Bitcoin over its energy usage, turned into BlackRock shilling ETFs for Bitcoin, then Ethereum. I really think that, 5%, we're underscoring how much money that is. 5% of total markets making their way into crypto makes really anyone that's paying attention to crypto right now and bag holding into what's going on right now over the next 10 years exponentially wealthy, if they do allocate 5% of the portfolios across the US. So honestly, I want this to hold off for as long as possible to accumulate low. And Larry Fink, he's been bullish on crypto even when they were going after it over energy usage back in 2021. I have some people I work with on the basement that literally were with Larry Fink, and they were telling me that he was bullish on Bitcoin, Solana, and ETH all the way back into 2021. He just spent that whole time budding it and going against it. Now the tune's changed. I'm here for it. You know what I mean? Let him pump our bags.
I like Eduardo's take here. Essentially, he's channeling the dude. That's just like his opinion, man. So, just one guy's opinion. CIA, though, CIO, a little bit of power there. All right, let's talk about some charts here for ETH. ETH Bitcoin strength is undeniable. 6 weeks of higher lows textbook alt season behavior. I want to check on this myself. So looking back, you can actually almost make an argument that it goes even farther. I want to say it's about 82 days worth of higher lows. This is going to be, even much more than that, 140 days. So this is going to be the 82 days. They're saying from 6 weeks. So they're going to not count this. Essentially, it's going to be this range. 6 weeks be roughly 42 days. 6 weeks. Argument, though, much, much longer. We go to the weekly chart. You can say there's a little bit of a pattern of higher lows going back. This is going to be 20 weeks, 140 days there. So textbook example of alt season behavior. I would largely agree. That little outlier, I wouldn't worry too much. Or sorry, this little outlier right here, wouldn't worry too much. Just a little bit of healthy profit taken. ETH BTC chart looking fantastic. And speaking of ETH itself, ETH USD looks like it's setting up a potential breakout. This is from Ash Crypto. I'm going to give him a shout out. This was hours ago. And if you fast forward to where we're at today with the recent pump, Drew, we are breaking out of this range. The way you're going to measure this is you're going to see the first time it touches the bottom, first time it touches the top. Give yourself a nice little trend line here, or I would say, measurement. And that's spelling 5169. Again, crypto's just got to do the crypto numbers there. 5,100 ETH sounds pretty good, and appreciate the membership there. That guy, hey, he's keeping
he's
awesome.
awesome.
Alive.
And the base, and I got some huge plans for the basement, so you guys stay tuned. I mean, I'm obviously I'm not leaving this channel behind, and I'm glad I didn't leave at least the thought that ETH was going to pump behind, because I'm trading actively. And over the course of the last few years, actively trading has made me more comfortable thinking about the big pullback should it happen, right? Trading has kind of allowed me to constantly add. $5,100 Ethereum, though, are we going to see a huge sell-off when that comes, Deezy? Like, that's the question in my mind, because my general target for Ethereum is right at around $6,000 to $8,000. I could see it.
That's a good question. Here's how I would answer that. I would say we need to look at the average drawdown, so then maybe we can kind of derive some sort of prediction model here. That's going to be about a 26, maybe we'll just round say about a 25% decline. Let me stretch this so we can get a little bit more accurate. Then we fell from a 25% decline, so we could just maybe round up to a 15% decline. But then this one looks a little bit rougher. So 25, 15, 15. That is a little interesting there. And if we go from the wick here, another 15, 25% pullback, 15% pullback, 15% pullback, 15% pullback. Drew, it might just be a 15% pullback.
Yeah. And let's just measure that out. What would that look like? So
well, we'll have to see where we pump up to. So if you're saying
True.
if this plays out, if this were to play out 15%, I mean, yeah, you're going to be just a slightly higher high. So you're going to have a slightly higher low, but still kind of matching along that trend line. I want to share the similar chart for Solana. You can see on the daily, we're seeing the symmetrical triangle, but on Solana, we're seeing a rising wedge. Rising wedge typically break to the downside, just like a falling wedge typically breaks to the upside. I last looked at falling wedge breakout potential is like 68% to the upside, 62 to 68%. We'll roughly just guesstimate it's going to be about the same for rising wedges. That still gives you that 38, 32% odds that it breaks to the upside. And so this does look like we are trying to break to the upside. We would like to see 1 or 2 daily candles close above this range, get a full candle body out of there before we, make any strong predictions. But this is potentially setting us up for retesting previous all-time highs. And wow, this is going to be right along where we're seeing all these wicks, except for the Trump pump. This would take us right into the previous range.
Yeah.
Are you kidding
male
me?
astrology
Now it's 269. What is going on with crypto? I'm not planning this, folks.
It's the way the world works, and then 4,500 being established as a main POC for Ethereum doesn't scare me at all, because creating a main point of control at $4,500 means that we have the footing to actually break to that $8,000 spot. So, just keeping that in mind. I saw an interesting question here, Deezy. I guess I want to roll this by you here. Adam here he's 100 Solana in a retirement.
There's your turbo AI. Sorry, someone keeps spamming it. There you go. There's my thoughts.
Is that ICP? That looked like ICP. What are you doing here? All right, so someone has 100 Solana in a retirement account, staked and earning 6% yield, right? Do we believe that Solana is going to be around in 20 years from now? trying to build that long-term outlook, long-term compounding gains potential.
I'll tell you why. Yes, I'll tell you why. Yes, a large percentage of the Solana community is under the age of 24 years old. So if you fast forward 20 years, they're going to be 44 years old.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm in my early 40s. I still love crypto. I'm still eat, sleep, breathing crypto. So I will say yes. I'm leaning towards yes. Now, if I
Yeah.
had an older dev base, I'd be a little bit more hesitant. It's a young dev base. It's a young ecosystem, and you know the youth will keep it alive, and the youth
Yeah.
will have their price memory and their biases.
Yeah. So yeah, I kind of lean towards yes, but honestly, like, I mean, we could see a whole new iteration of what Web3 means in 20 years from now. If that was me, I would just understand that I'm trying to shoot a bow and arrow at the moon, and I might make it. I've done it before in my professional career when I sent the hire me video to TJ, and it worked. And so shooting for the moon works. Sometimes you have to take the shot, but I would, keep the risk adjusted approach to that just in case things change drastically.
Now, some are
Who knows?
saying no one knows what's going to be around 20 years. Yes, and on some levels, no one knows. No one knows if what kind of disruptions AI is going to bring. Tesla robots are going to bring. Potential EMP attacks or weaponized bioweapons. Sure, no one knows, but we're kind of just saying if things follow along in this semi-linear fashion.
Yeah, and Solana has something. Solana has memes and all that jazz going for it, but it also has a vast network of AI agents that are use case specific, and we're going to see billions of these agents come out. I know we've been seeing the AI agent hype already, but we're so plugged in, we're already kind of jaded on it. Corporations, systems of communication at large, AI agents, even in DeFi, are going to expand exponentially, even into industries of customer service, real estate, yada, 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 over the next 10 years. So Solana positioning itself with fast transactional throughput and kind of fostering that AI development also plays into its potential longevity.
And if you want to learn more about AI, we had a little bit of a hang up here. Josh was, we're changing offices. Josh was uploading a video. I took this video down and then I reposted it. It killed all the momentum. I actually tell you about the top 3 AI altcoins I'm watching. One of them does have a lot of revenue. It is virtuals. It is the AI agent play. I'll go ahead and front run some of this information. This type of stuff I'm showing you here. DeFi Llama, new computer, folks. So you got to, I think it's .com, DeFiLlama.com.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, you can find AI agents revenue. And I don't know if, here we go. AI agents. There's a reason why virtuals is mentioned in that video right there. And this is the story. This is kind of some of the metrics that I'm looking at. So if you want to see me talk about the 2 other coins and why I'm bullish on them, definitely go check out last night's video. I killed the momentum, with me taking it up, taking it down, changing the thumb, moving all around. I did the hokey pokey and then the viewership was down. The viewership was down, was more like it. But I'll tell you what's not down is Swee. Swee is up, baby. Even Groot. Is that Groot? You have kids.
Oh, no, that's not Groot. What is that guy name? I love that show too. I love that
show. It's the Despicable Guy chat. I know we got the smart. I know it's basement folks, but some of you folks know some kid movies. SEC Task Force met with Mistin Labs. This is the team behind Swee yesterday to discuss approaches to address issues related to regulation, of crypto assets. So now we have the Swee team, Mistin Labs, working with the regulators, trying to find compliance that overlaps with Swee. And so I would say this is definitely going to be very bullish. And it is GRU, not the Russian. I shouldn't even say the things I was about to say. So not the GRU. No, GRU.
Yeah.
Not the GRU.
Let's be easy. Okay, we already dusted one. we're on. And you know what? Shout out to the crowd though. Even with the difficulties and having to stream on a new channel today, we're at 3,200 live viewers across our platform.
Yeah. Big shout out to the X users. If you want to help us out, give us that repost, trying to let some more people know that, hey, we're still here. We just got, locked up by Apple for, 24, maybe 7 days. We're trying to figure it out. ETH is costly for me. You think BNB is a good alt? Well, one thing I would say, learn enough, get away from the unit bias, where if a unit is expensive, it seems like it's bad. I'll allow it this time because the market cap is large. So we're going to assume you're saying the market cap is too costly. We'll give you the benefit of a doubt here. BNB is going to be a good alt. We are fans of BNB. I would say, typically people who bet against CZ, it doesn't go well for them. And that is a story that goes cycle after cycle. Just as saying Bankman-Fried. Looking at the weekly here, it is a little, oh my God, let's go to the regular chart. That's almost worse in a way. Looks like it's kind of following this trend line, which is very interesting on a weekly chart to see this. Oh, well, I guess there's a couple ways you could draw it out. You could say, coming in from here, I will say it does look like there's a little bit of room. I would say if I'm looking for a large cap coin, it's going to do well. ETH is kind of, I rode the ETH pump into, the previous all-time high area. I'm buying Chainlink myself, or I actually bought a little Athena yesterday. I traded out of an altcoin that I had on Coinbase, DIA. It had pumped a whole lot. I was like, you know what? Let me just continue to consolidate to fewer and fewer tokens, which is a move that you need to do as you get closer and closer to the end of the bull run. At the end of the bull run, you don't want to have 20 more tokens than you did 6 months prior. You want to have less tokens than you did 6 months prior. Then it's easier to complete your exit strategy.
Absolutely. And BNB, do we have the news on your side for it looks like a partnership with a $1.6 trillion asset manager, Franklin Templeton, partnering up with Binance right now. Absolute shock value, absolute cinema seeing the news come out about that. Franklin Templeton is one of the more, say bullish on crypto organizations. I did see the news earlier today. Let's check out here.
Well, they're bull posting about their new all-time highs here. And it looks like they're talking about some just some regular stuff. So, well, we'll continue to check that out. We'll find that news as it's happening, folks. Now, I do want to share just a quick breakdown on the IP token. We covered this yesterday, but there's some new information that I didn't share with you yesterday that I do want to share with you today. So we talked about the NASDAQ company, bought some shares that ended up pumping it. Story Foundation they got 82 million. They gave that company $82 million worth of their shares, maybe more. We're just going to say they gave them 80 million. They're now using that cash to buy more tokens over the next 90 days. Now we have a nonstop buy pressure that keeps the price high. They're kind of following the Michael Saylor strategy. They're going to continue to potentially dilute more shares. I don't know what they're going to do after the 82 million, but Drew, is my guess that they'll then do another raise, sell more of their stock, and then just repeat this cycle after 90 days.
Yeah. I mean, in 90 days, you're coming up at the end of the year, right? So it's September right now.
Yeah, so you're looking at December 10th, roughly.
Right. So, maybe this works until, say, Q1. But really, man, the story, it's an alt. It's one of the alts in my mind that is going to have a 99% retracement at a point.
I would 99 seems a little high. I think it will have the 85, 95% retracement. Yeah. Yes.
So, just profits, right? We're in an uptrend. We're feeling good. You're able to buy low spots right now. It's an interesting project for sure. But just profits. Yes, I saw the Poland stuff.
Might be a false flag.
You think so?
I said it might be.
Well,
we definitely
regardless of what it is, they're invoking Article 4 over it, right? So that's not a false flag.
Oh, yeah. But is this a WMD Iraq? Is this a Gulf of Tonkin? Or is this going to be something that's, actually real? It's the fog of war. They call it the fog of war for a reason. I would just say, maybe wait a little bit. Let's talk about ADA here. Now, I want to share.
And real quick, just before we move to ADA, this is the announcement from Watcher Guru. Franklin Templeton, building tailored digital asset initiatives with Binance. I just had to do a side note on there. I mean, it's very, very clear to me that, Binance is here to stay. It very much so feels that way. Coinbase is doing their best to compete with Binance, and I think they will effectively compete with Binance, but Binance is it's a beast. It's a monster. And honestly, I'm having FOMO about Binance. I'm mad that I don't own any, but I am cheering on the people that hold some of that token because it is crushing it right now.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what might start crushing it soon is Cardano. There's something kind of interesting here, and that's going to be the market cap dominance. ADA's market cap dominance continues to rise. It's up 11% in a month, 6% in a week, and 1.5%. So looking at Cardano's dominance, I did not mean to throw that on there. Let me just delete this here. Cardano kind of follows a similar structure where it creates a upside down head and shoulders as the ADA dominance falls. So this is the ICO launch. I think you can see the 2021 run up there where it ran up in September. Then you can see it'll find a little bit of resistance. If you look, Drew, we are now in the middle of the head and shoulders, and we're in control. Depending on which way you're facing there, it's going to be the right shoulder here or the left side. Since he's upside down. So once we complete the shoulder, we might follow the similar path where we end up blasting all the way up. It goes a lot higher than people are expecting, and we're going to be talking about a fairly significant upside from here, where 350%. But Cardano would basically go from 0.8% of the entire market to 3.5%. And if you look in 2021, it was 4.5%. So 5%, 4.5%, maybe then goes to 4 to 3.5%. Just something a little bullish I want to share there. Also, Grayscale planning to stake all the Cardano that's held in the Cardano ETF. Staking rewards will then flow back into the fund, boosting the share value after fees. So it's going to change the MNAV, the multiple of the net asset value. So the net asset value of these shares, you have 100 Cardano or 100 ADA. You fast forward, you got, say an additional 4 or 5 at the end of the year. That's just going to increase the amount of ADA per share. And, I do want to give a shout out to the Deezy stake pool. If you want to stake your ADA, make sure you stake it at the Deezy stake pool. We're going to have a claimable book once I finish formatting everything. The book title, I went ahead and released it, Secrets of the Wealthy, 50 Tips to Get Rich. It's going to be 50 unique tips with actionable advice. Maybe in a historical example. Here's how Steve Jobs, is doing this. Here's how Warren Buffett is doing this. And here's how I would do that today. So all 50 tips are going to have something actionable. But yeah, just go into your wallet, change your stake pool to Deezy. We're over, I want to say we're probably knocking on the door of 2 million ADA staked. So we should start knocking out these blocks soon. We got to wait for additional e-pockets once every 5 days. And then boom, those rewards are just going to start rolling in, man.
Good job, man. And now let me guess, the first step in your book: to become rich, you must shave your head clean bald.
It is in a weird way. It's move fast, speed. Speed is crucial. And what's a smooth head if not aerodynamic?
Dude, I got to do something. I mean, I got the villain line though. Look at that. I got a villain line. I'm getting all developed here.
Can I cuss? Can I drop one F-bomb?
Oh, sure. Yeah, we're on,
it's not in the book, but when it comes to speed, chat, Drew, you probably already know this. Procrastination is like masturbation. You're only fucking yourself.
I did the beep wrong. I got the beep button here. You know what? Procrastination, it's a bad thing. There's action that we can take. And you know what? Most people in crypto, I wouldn't say are procrastinators because they're diving in, they're jumping in, they're risking it for the biscuit, right? Usually the procrastinator doesn't take that approach. But I think aerodynamics matter. Deezy, I also found out I'm allergic to most of the state of Georgia. Literally. Sumac.
Are you going to show your arm? Can you show your arm?
Oh, dude.
Do you not want to?
It's all over the place. And thankfully it's on just my forearms. I took a chainsaw, and I do this all the time. I do chainsawing in sandals and
I can say it's how I wake up my kids.
Yeah, and in my white beater shirt,
Mustard
things happen. It happens. I'm here. It's fine. I'm going to buy another house up here. It's fine. I'm here to stay.
Chat's winner is it monkeypox?
Clearly, I went up to New York. As you can see by my Hawaiian shirt, I'm about that. So absolutely. Thank you for the reminder there, buddy. But let's get back to crypto now.
To get tested for monkeypox. All right, let's talk about Avalanche, everybody. 4 consecutive rejections of 27. I alluded to this at the top of the show. We did knock through, folks. Let's go ahead and go to the daily chart here and looking, kind of zooming out. Yeah, you can see boom. $27 line. We're just going to throw a little horizontal line here. Roughly it's about there. You can say, yeah, 1,
Mhm.
2, 3. Fourth time
Mhm.
is the charm here, at least in this case. I would say the next level, is probably going to be this trend line, Drew. This is something that we pointed out,
Yeah.
I would say months ago.
Yeah.
It doesn't quite play into over there. I mean, you can I think it hits like a little bit of some candle bodies, but we'll just say this is the trend line that I'm going to be paying attention to. The potential upside, let's look at the levels. We're at 28.50. Potential move to $40, folks, and a fairly quick move to $40. We are on a regular chart. This isn't any log moon math, and I
Mhm.
didn't look at the percentage gains. I mean, yeah, you're looking at a nice 40-50% move to the upside.
Yeah. Yeah. And Avalanche, it was kind of left out of the party of the pumps, say a few weeks ago. I really think that the Cardano community, Solana, Avalanche, XRP, they are feverish, but Avalanche community, I'm in the social fi, and you want to talk about diamond freaking hands. I mean, I know Ada's got it and all this, but AVAX has a very, very strong internal community that's just, they're not interested in anything else than seeing AVAX succeed. So, I'm holding AVAX, I'm in the ecosystem. $40, probably a turbulent zone. And that trend line that you drew, Deezy, I would argue it does play into that original peak. It plays into the volume nodes that were created from that original blow off top peak of last cycle. That trend line's holding true. I think it's going to break it, but it's probably good to watch out for some turbulence at that level.
Let me show you some. This is, I highlighted this little area right here. This is going to be a 3-month range. What's significant about this, I should have done date, not price. This is the start of the 3 rate cuts in 2024. We got one on September 18th, November, I want to say 11th, September, October, and then we ended up getting one in December. And so we had 3 rate cuts in this environment. AVAX actually went down. It had a nice little spike. You could say maybe even front ran the rate cuts there because it did happen on the 18th. So rate cut, boom, blast it off. We would then go create a lower low before we would go off to Moontown here. So just a potential price action to pay attention to on AVAX. Rate cuts. Don't be afraid to take some quick profits because we might come down and wreck all the people that are just a little bit too long. Now, I want to talk about this MYX altcoin. This was a major mover yesterday. It was up 1,400% in 7 days. We talked about, what's going on here with it has a little World Liberty Fi listing, Binance Alpha listing here, short squeeze kind of moving the rally here. But the analysts are saying there's a lot of red flags here. And it looks like it was the largest Sybil attack in crypto history. Sybil attacks are going to be a term popularized in the 70s, which is this lady right here. It is a lady with multiple personality disorder. A Sybil attack is when an individual is impersonating multiple different entities. And they're saying there's a lot of bot farms, airdrop scammers, people that do this for a living, teams that do this for a living, software developers that do this for a living, and said this was 100 wallets. Makes it the largest Sybil attack in crypto history. And so this 100 wallets, of course, could have represented thousands of people. And it looks like just the 100 funded wallets. It's a lot of suspicious stuff with how they're funded. And MYX did come to the defense here, said it has a campaign that has safeguards against this. We prioritize user participation, even in cases where a single entity participates extensively. We acknowledge and respect that participation. So they said, hey, if you're some Indian bot farm with 100 cheap androids, the water's warm. Come on in.
Hopefully not too warm and there's not some festering going on in that water.
Oh,
but
it's like the river.
Yeah,
you don't want to go in.
That's there's a lot of infrastructure upgrades.
You go in for some sort of christening. You get dunked by the preacher, and all of a sudden you got an ear infection.
Yep, I can't. Okay, we are on the basement. You might end up with some family members in that water on you. So, this MYX coin and the farming around it, you have to assume that there's some degree of gaming data. For most things in not only in crypto but in life, right? They're gaming the data and every aspect of economic data that we have. So seeing that arbitrage, it doesn't really surprise me. Deezy,
I love a good old front run on a pump, man, and nothing like a front run.
Huh. I mean, do we short this at this point? Like,
That was a large part of the rally. In some of those articles, they say part of the reason it pumped so hard were people shorting the hell out of it.
yeah.
So
I
I
saw it
wouldn't short it.
rising. Couple buddies of mine longed it and absolutely crushed it on it. It's a new project, you know. I mean, I like to see some data come out about price history before I get in, but um, the gaming of transactions data, it's gonna be part of the game. You have to just be honest. You use your gut. I use my gut a lot when it comes to, you know, someone coming to me with the next biggest thing in crypto. Have I heard people talking about this? Is this an actual thing? And then just kind of use my gut. My gut says to stay away from this.
Yeah, trust
This
your gut,
personally.
folks. Trust your gut when you're talking about, you know, illiquid altcoins. When you're talking about, should I open this trade? Should I move this
Mhm.
money to this other portfolio? Should I try to claim this free thing? You know, should I ride this bus? Whatever it might be, folks. All right, let's move forward. Doge ETF to begin trading tomorrow. Everybody, this is according to James Seifert. We covered Doge. Almost did a video on it last week. We jumped in right around 20 cents. Oh, if you, I doubt many people followed me on my Doge move. You know, I was like, all right, guys, I took some profits on Marathon Digital. You know, I just kind of, I don't want to just sit on as cash on my Robinhood app. I was like, all right, let me just go ahead and buy some Doge. And we got in one of the lower parts of this range. I want to say it was a little bit late last week there. So yeah, it was like Thursday or Friday. Let's see, today's the 10th. So it's going to be roughly around the 3rd. It looks like we caught in right as it started to pump here. I think it was like 20.8 cents. Now we're at 24, knocking on the door 25. Nice little move. I would not be sleeping on Doge at this point, folks. Does look like retail is probably going to buy it again. Drew, would you just yay or nay? Is retail going to buy Doge
Yeah.
again?
Yeah. I
For
mean,
sure.
I think Doge is probably, I mean, 2x for Doge is kind of bearish. I think like 2.5, maybe 3x from even a 25-cent mark. I think we could get close to $1. It's a very normie friendly alt or meme coin rather. And you know, really something that I was thinking about here is you see a lot of, you know, memers love memes, and I do know some memers that just roll major profits back into Doge. They like staying in the Doge ecosystem, and it's one of the best coins out there to
Yeah.
mine, right? So it's a good project. I think Doge is very interesting.
They're saying, you know, would I sell or should you sell? I would say, you know, this is probably going to play out. This is the trend line from Trump. This isn't. We're not looking at 2021. That's
Mm,
2021 right there. This
mm,
is something that happened less than a year ago. It could definitely hit the top of this range. It's going to be around 40 cents. Feel free to take profit at like that 36, 37, 38.
mm.
Just as more and more people see this range and then, you know, come to the conclusion that it's going to reject off of it, because that
Yeah.
would be my assessment. And other people are probably going to come to the same assessment there. All right, let's we got other altcoin news. We got Trump Media to let True Social users convert gems into their Crow tokens. Might have to do a deep dive on this one.
I
So
think you should.
if you hold Crow, go check that story out. Chainlink hitting the corporate treasury for the first time. We have Nasdaq listed firm Caliber completing its first link purchase there. So nice move. Check in on the link long. We're still in it. We're still in it. So, you know, 37%, 40% profit, just kind of traipsing around in those levels. Bitcoin Archive reporting here. White House crypto advisor Pat Witt, PW, I like to call him P-Dubs. P-Dub says strategic Bitcoin reserve is now a top priority for the administration. It is happening. Drew, my thesis here, though, is this doesn't mean anything. We keep hearing this. I'm like the boy who cried wolf.
Right.
You've screamed wolf at me 87 times. I'm tired of thinking that, oh, they're going to market buy or reallocate how they, you know, put gold on their balance sheet. None of these things are happening, it seems like.
Yeah.
If they steal it from you via civil forfeiture,
Which they're
goes
happy to do. Right.
which they're happy to do, but it probably, the buck stops there. We're not going to see new novel ways of Bitcoin acquirement.
Yeah, and you know, initially there was the shock value of a Bitcoin reserve being even discussed on a congressional.
If a president fart sounded like Bitcoin reserve, people are bullish.
Right, and then but that kind of wore off. People realized that there is tons of red tape at the Treasury, within the Fed. There's all kinds of.
Almost hit a spit take on that one. That was good. I take
There's
that
all
hater
kinds.
criticism.
And like think about, I think the US is probably going to deal with their gold conundrum first before Bitcoin.
What is the gold conundrum? Back up. I don't know what you mean by
Yeah.
gold conundrum. What, we don't have
So
enough,
since the
or is the Fort Knox empty? What do you mean?
Right. So they readjusted the price of gold in the early 1970s, late
Yeah,
60s
you're talking
from
about on the balance sheet as a low price. Is that a
Mhm.
problem? Why do they need to change that? Is my question.
It would be beneficial on balance sheet outlook to upgrade your gold holdings from what's on paper showing $8 billion to $850 billion.
Wouldn't that just be a paper change though? At the end of the day, like
It would
smart money knows, the smart money isn't thinking that we have $80 an ounce gold or whatever.
It would be helpful for the budget neutral accumulation process of Bitcoin, in my opinion, using current assets, getting some exposure to Bitcoin.
Yeah, I've heard
Um,
that. I've heard that as well. My point is they won't do that.
right. And I don't think the gold's there. I think that they would have revalued it. I think that they would have revalued it by now if it was actually there. That's my
All right.
personal take. I think it's a
Chat,
scam.
yes or no, Y or N, is there gold in Fort Knox? I'm saying no. I think it's
We
empty.
want to know. I want to know what your guys' sentiment is because that's a big question for me. And honestly, it'd be very, very bad for the markets if they found out it didn't. If we didn't have the gold. But honestly, like all logical sense to me, from all the gripes and conundrums we run into over debt balance sheets, why would you not revalue gold from 8 billion to nearly $1 trillion to show that at least you have that chunk of change?
Because smart money knows it's there and it doesn't change anything. It's like,
yeah.
you have a book behind you, marking out the cover and then putting a new cover. Everybody knows the book's the same.
Yeah.
Smart people know the book's the same. Only, it's a very surface level analysis when you're looking at just the cover and be like, oh, this changes everything. Now, I agree to your point, though. It is an avenue for budget neutral ways. And they kind of hint that they want to try to explore budget neutral ways. But to me, that's all hot air. And it's just yet another disappointment from the Trump presidency.
Yeah, and really like the time frame when I expect the US to start actually buying Bitcoin, there, in my opinion, this is how I would do it. I would say I'm going to do it, let all the other countries beat me to the punch in a bull market, let the price fall down, and then go buy it up, right? If I felt so, or I'd just go seize it, right? So that's kind of my opinion about it. That's just my
All
opinion
right.
about
Chat
it.
coming in, about 9 for every one. No, there's a big fat no. I remember seeing that. Like, it was suspicious to me, but I didn't, go through all the blockchain wallets because Arkham was like, yeah, sure, it's happening. So that's my fault. You know what? We always say we don't trust. We try to verify here, but on-chain data is now suggesting they're just recycling existing Bitcoin and they're not buying fresh daily. So this address withdrew 63 Bitcoin from Binance. This is, the one associated to El Salvador. And then they sent one to El Salvador on the 3rd, and then again on the 4th, and then again on the 5th. So, they pulled it from Binance to this wallet, and then they sent from that wallet back to Binance, and then it receives a Bitcoin from Binance 2.5 hours later, 1 hour later, 7 hours later. And then they did the 21. Remember, it was like, oh, we bought 21 million, The change address still holds 37 Bitcoin with no ties to known exchanges. Earlier reports show the IMF explicitly stating the government is not buying, yet El Salvador claims it is. Is the country merely shuffling Bitcoin across wallets, sending 1 Bitcoin per day to their strategic reserve wallet? Official clarification is needed. And a lot of people, went through a lot of the replies. They're saying, yeah, this is exactly what's happening. It's like some of these people have been trying to sound the alarm about this. And the official response is, well, they tweet a number in a line chart.
Yeah.
That kind of sums it. Well, there's a chart, though, that does this. Oh, there's a spike of 21 one day. I think they're shuffling.
It's a little sketchy. And we're talking about nation state Bitcoin holdings. This is stuff that we will hope is not being fabricated by El Salvador. And El Salvador, I think, has been buying Bitcoin. The conflict with the IMF losing a customer,
Like
Nayib Bukele.
He
Does kind of look like you, absolutely. But he's got the hair, so he can't get rich.
He's hanging on for dear life, though, Drew.
That's true.
I know this look, Drew. I know this look. I've been down this road. I know this cul-de-sac. This cul-de-sac is just going to keep eroding and eroding and eroding.
Oh my Lord. Yeah, it's an interesting scenario. And we had all the FUD about Sailor if he actually held, and it ended up showing that we're fine. He's holding.
He's very, very sneaky.
Yeah, I really think that he will probably have a good chunk, if not all of it. Maybe it was a flubbed address that was given to check into. So I love this chat. We have the best chat, literally the best chat in crypto on the blockchain basement. Huge shout out to you guys. And chat, I mean, we got great numbers right now. So
hey, yeah, we appreciate it, man. Everybody sharing this stream, hitting the like button on YouTube, interact with the chat there. Now, we do have this story. We broke it yesterday, Kyrgyzstan, how this finance minister wanted to introduce a bill. Well, guess what? The parliament approved it. We're yet another step closer. Another country is stacking Bitcoin. Kyrgyzstan, big shout out there. Powerful. Just a powerful vibe there.
yeah,
Of course, as an Eastern Bloc country, is going to come from the fall of the Soviet Union. And let's just say it's probably some hard people emerged from those ashes 40 years ago.
those are some trad dads. You're looking at trad dads right there.
That was the tough times created hard men.
Yeah.
They went through that tough time as
Recently.
the fall of the Berlin Wall happened. Gorbachev, Reagan, that whole situation there. That happened in, what year did the Berlin Wall fall, Drew? Was that 1987?
Oh God, I'll have to look it up. Maybe the chat will know off the top of their head. We should find out. But yeah, it's like, and we see a lot of crazy stuff. I'll be covering at 1 p.m. today on this 1989, right after I was born.
I should be ashamed of that, though. I should have known that.
France, the government kind of internally imploding. Nepal is going ballistic in terms of unrest, upheaval. Even we talk about trust being lost between nations with this whole BRICS Trump crash out every day. Internally, nations and the people's trust of government is deteriorating. All this, in my opinion, bullish for crypto, for Bitcoin, right? Trustless. You don't have to wait on your central bank to make whatever decisions they're gonna do and lie to you about why they're doing them. Bitcoin is just the ultimate way, man. I think I'm going to be covering the Nepal situation further in the 1 p.m. show. But yeah, man, like right now, I feel like we're in really good times. We're gonna have a year and a half of the Fed and the Trump administration showing things are okay. I'm still of that opinion that stagflation is there. It's just a matter of them admitting it. They're using our tax dollars to keep houses off the market too. Like the amount of scam that's going on right now to hoist the data up is immense. I'm probably gonna crash out at 1.
Hey man, crash outs happen. All right, I just want to end with a little bit of price action for Bitcoin on the 1 hour. We did hit oversold, just kind of checking in. Last few times we hit oversold on the RSI, we got rejected. And we blasted through, but we shortly thereafter got rejected. So this hasn't been an environment where the 1 hour has stayed oversold for extended period of time.
Yeah.
Just like last time it happened was maybe all the way back in July. So are we heading into this overbought environment where RSI gets overheated and Bitcoin says, I don't care, I'm gonna keep pumping, I'm gonna keep pumping. If it is the first time since July. So just keep an eye out on this RSI hitting oversold. We might be coming down. If you look at just the last few ones, it created some fairly steep red candles, steep red candles. And of course, we go here. A lot of steep red candles.
Right.
So just be careful, folks. Things are getting a little overheated, but we are super bullish in the long run. It was a wonderful time hanging out with Drew in the basement. You gave me the floor, you gave me the microphone, and I'm eternally grateful for that, Drew. So everybody smash that like button. Drew, what's the final word here, brother?
You know what? Just the goal here is not to fall for the. You said it to me best this morning, Deezy, because the cultural psyop is trying to distract me, right?
Don't worry about a stupid bus. That doesn't matter. That's what happened on that bus is a terrible tragedy. We could we could talk about that for the next 20 years. It doesn't affect us, and it is a distraction. We need to put our eyes on the prize, and that isn't going to be what some rogue DA or what a rogue judge does in a place far away.
Absolutely. Just stay base, stack sats, folks, and I'll see you at 1 p.m. We're going to dive into what's going on in Nepal, France, and Russia. Appreciate you guys.
We just wanted to take a quick second to shout out our sponsor, Arculus. They are a cold storage hardware wallet, helps you secure all of your digital assets for the future. Just tap this thing to the back of your phone and boom, you're in. We wouldn't be able to do this without them, but also wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, the Disco fam. You've supported us a lot over the years. If you want to support the channel now, just use the code DC20. It gets you 20% off this card. It's the #1 way you can support this channel going forward. Thank you for your support. We'll see you at the top.